The first case we're going to talk about is a fire case. The wife put a load of laundry in the dryer. The dryer was on the second floor. It was running. Everybody went to sleep. About 11 o'clock to midnight, the parents woke up because they heard one of the children screaming, "Fire, fire." They came out, tried to come out the door of their bedroom, and they were hit with a wall of heat that would melt flesh. Ton of smoke. They could hear one of their kids yelling down the hall, "Fire, fire." No matter what they tried, they couldn't get down the hallway to the children. They jumped out the window. The wife sustained some broken bones. The father jumped out, slight injuries, but kept trying to run up the steps to get to his kids, and again, the heat and the smoke were too much. He didn't make it, and 2 children died. The dilemma that we were faced with was, first, where did the fire start? What caused the fire? How are we going to prove this? Where does the liability lie? We brought a case against General Electric contending that the fire started inside the dryer, which is the appliance on the right, and we contended that lint had accumulated inside this dryer, that it was drawn inside the drum while the clothes were tumbling. It ignited, causing a fire which spilled out into the rest of the room. GE, of course, was all over that theory. 1, lint doesn't accumulate inside dryers. 2, lint can't ignite like that. 3, lint can't get drawn into the drum if it's burning. 4, if it gets drawn into the drum and it's burning, the load itself that's tumbling puts it out. 5, if you look at the burn patterns on that dryer, GE contended the fire didn't start inside the dryer. There must have been something on the floor in front of that washer and dryer. And you see that burn pattern that goes up in a V. It seems to, at least from a layperson perspective, suggest that maybe there's some credence to what they're telling you. 4, they said that, in fact, the most severely burned area was about 3 to 4 feet in front of the dryer and washer on the floor where the bifold doors would have been. So we gathered our experts. And what made this case unique, at least in our experience, was that in many cases, as you prepare for trial, after discovery's done and the motion practice is over and you're starting to think about your exhibits, you say, hey, what kind of demonstrative exhibits should I use to assist me in this case? I'm going to take you through a little bit of that and show you how, at least through the use of this type of evidence, something that seems a little questionable on the surface can ultimately appear very compelling.
So we knew we had to burn some dryers, and we knew we had to show demonstratively that in some circumstances, fire actually burns down. And why does it do that? Because of the airflow inside this dryer. We've got a fire burning inside the dryer on the right, and now we've got a burn pattern moving down the front left of this dryer, because that's where the plastic trap duct is. And as air is drawn through this dryer, through the drum, it's pulled down through the lint screen, down the trap duct, which is now melting, and exhausted out the back of the dryer. Sure enough, the door pops open, the fire escapes, and you've got a burn pattern down the front left side of the dryer, just like we had in the photograph from the fire scene.
So we created an animation to describe a little bit about how a dryer works. And what's going to happen is air gets sucked in back here through the slats. It gets heated across the heater coils. The blue is the cold air coming in, getting sucked across the heater coils. The red, the hot air coming through the drum, going down the plastic shaft here and getting blown out what is ordinarily your dryer vent. So this function of the airflow in the dryer was important to support our theory about the origin of this fire. That's why when you saw those burn marks, they went from the dryer door almost in that triangular pattern down to, if you're facing the dryer, the lower left-hand corner. So that, in combination with our testing where we burned up some dryers, developed a persuasive case and supported our experts' methodology as to why the point of origin of this fire was inside the dryer drum. There was a little bit, there were other contentions by GE, as I mentioned. They said, well, no, it didn't start inside the dryer drum because we had these severe burn marks about 4 to 5 feet away on the floor. We were able to demonstrate how those burn marks on the floor occurred.
We actually built a mock laundry closet. He puts the laundry into the dryer, he starts it up, he closes the bifold doors because Mrs. Rager said she closed the bifold doors that night. We've now got the fire, and what happens to the bifold doors after they have caught fire, they fall into the hallway and they leave burn marks on the rug almost exactly like the ones at the fire scene. And you can see the door has actually popped open, and that's how the fire escaped from the dryer.
Now what you're looking at is 9 separate camera views of a dryer that's in action. The bottom view is a thermal imaging view that shows where the heat is. Now right there in the middle, we have a camera in by that heater coil I showed you. And lint gets introduced to that heater coil, just as we contend would have occurred if it dropped off the deflector. And what we showed was that the lint that got dropped into the heater coil went into the drum. Once in the drum, it would ignite, and in fact, you see that circle of the burning lint. That's lint on the back of the deflector that's burning. And what you would eventually see, as we would fast forward, is that these towels would ignite and the door would open. And now I am a firm believer that getting that type of evidence together early in the case is critical to the case's success.